Howdy, howdy. My name is Jordan, and I am the Abyss of the Abyssal Pantheon. And originally I was Elkrath, so if you're confused and you recognize me, don't freak out. I did a rebrand. I like Abyssal Pantheon a lot more, mostly because I have a bunch of projects planned under that, using the Abyss as kind of like the central theme: the abyss of sea, the abyss of space, the abyss of a sound stage, which is what I'm working on right now. And I figured since I never get in front of a camera, I wanted to just take a moment to say thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys leaving comments, watching my stuff, letting me know how the mixes are turning out. It's a really good and motivating constructive criticism, like feedback loop. And I really need it because this project in particular is very special to me. This is kind of like my own, I guess, art. I found my spot in audio. And for a long time, like I struggled with the concept of being a musician because I'm actually really not that into music. I love sound. I love exploring sound, taking shit apart, putting it back together, and creating something out of something different. It's just a really cool process, and it's what I gravitate towards. So you hear a lot of soundscapes, ambient, sometimes some rhythmic tracks and stuff like that. It's all experimentation for me, and it turns out that where I actually shine is less about composition and arrangement, but more about texture and presentation. And those are my critical things for my own personal work: is the presentation and what sort of interesting textures I can fit in there, clicks or growls, or whether I'm using a granular synth to stretch out like an audio sample of a dog growling or whatever, which I did do before. I find it to be the most entertaining and interesting aspect of audio personally. However, I want to do performances. I want to do art, not music, but the old school shit, music concrete, maybe some Berlin school. I really dig Kosmish music, or krautrock, I guess. I don't like calling it that personally, but uh, I love the more ambient feel, more cinematic, emotional, organic, I guess is how I would describe that, right? And that's just something I'm always going to do. That's just what I like doing. And I needed a way to make that entertaining or fun for people to listen to, or to be clued in on something completely different. So, how do you make something that intrinsically is meant to be background music into something that is engaging? And I decided originally that my project was going to be focused on acousmatic sound, and was going to pack batteries and Bluetooth speakers out into the woods with me, with an instrument, an iPad, or whatever. And I would place these speakers on lines and hide them in the environment and just give you a simple view of the landscape or whatever, and have a binaural microphone rig, which I have from AWI. Alan, if you're watching this, I promise I'm going to write you back. Uh, but I use the SR3D microphones, and the quality is astronomical. Binaural is a special recording method. It's less about how you capture, right? Like you're using two omnidirectional mics spaced approximately 65, or I guess 6 inches apart, at roughly whatever the spread is, right? Whatever your ear canals spread out at. And it's about the way that you publish and present it, right? If it's too gained up, it's just a regular ass stereo file. But if it is at the perfect level, it feels like you're there. And in order for me to reduce my gear load, I was not gonna, like, my pack was over 70 pounds just one way, and that's just one trip, because I still had other things I needed to pack in too. So I had hard case, backpack, cables, batteries, speakers, everything. It's just too much. And out of necessity, I had to figure out a way to achieve acousmatic sound without bringing physical hardware. And I came up with this new technique I'm calling the Abyssal technique. And I call it that because it deals with the abyss of a binaural soundstage and fitting all of your music within that soundstage naturally. So I've done a couple of different ways of presenting it. I had a track where it was directly implanted, which is the ultimate goal, where it feels like the music is in your head. You never break your environmental awareness. And the problem with that is that the mix was incredibly thin and I struggled with the music part. These are incredibly quiet sounds. I mean, I'm mixing to the sound of raindrops, basically. So we're talking like down -30 LUFS and blah, 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 blah. And the truth is, with binaural stuff, you can't use meters. None of it works. None of it matters, because binaural it's a different thing. You can't master it. You can't apply anything to it. It's what you hear like a human being would hear, which means that you don't compress it. You don't master it. You don't do any of this. You have to just let it be natural and raw. How do you make your music sound present and full when you're working at those levels? And that has been the adventure so far. I have last month released the initial concept track, which I obviously privatized again because I was unhappy with it. And the concept worked. That was the moment I knew I was on to my project, that the project was going to work, was the proof of concept worked. But it came down to I was missing a bunch of skills personally. So if you've been following my channel, which I really appreciate it if you have been, you will probably notice there has been a significant increase in my mixing, mastering, and audio quality just in general from like 6 months ago to now. Even from last month to now is a different thing. And I did get a spot in a professional studio. I am learning. I do regularly record people now. And, well, I should say Ivan regularly records people. However, I do a lot of the sound engineering aspect of it now, and I'm getting more and more responsibility on that front as we are ramping up for a new album being recorded from a band up in city up north from me. But being in that studio has allowed me to really understand quite a bit about how do we manipulate the sound into the correct spots? How do we get it where it needs to go? And more importantly, like after I figured that out, that was one of the bigger hurdles. Turns out I have some tricks for that now, and I know how to do it. I think I just cracked that mix. Yesterday, I posted the Cinestereo implant track, and I pulled it today because I was incredibly unhappy with it. Not that it was bad. It was missing two important elements that I fixed today, and I'm working on. As you can see, DaVinci's up in the background. I'm going to glue it all together and republish. And I think that this mix is far closer to where I need this audio level to be, the audio quality to be. And what's more important is that I figured out a way to do this live. So not only can I not only can I do all of this in a performance environment, I can record it live and publish it right there if I wanted. However, due to the fact that I have been releasing and taking things down, I have decided that my schedule, although will still be consistent with weekly uploads, I need to spend a little bit more time per track. I've found that the sweet spot for me is about 3 days of mixing. The first day is the rough mix. The second day is a refining mix. And the third day is after I've let my ears quiet down, I work on something else. And then at the end, I'll come back in and I'll give it a critical listen some more with fresh ears. And that's when the final pieces will get worked out. So today I am releasing the Cinestereo track again. Sorry. But I fixed the mix, and I think that this is something truly special. So if you guys can bear with me on this whole rebrand thing and my lack of communication, that is all going to improve from this point forward. I have been deep in production and testing this platform, my own sound designing platform, And I think I'm finally at the point now where I can consistently produce at the quality that I would like to. So I hope that you enjoy soundscapes. I hope you enjoy atmospheres. I hope you enjoy crazy spatial audio textures and glitches and tricks, because that is where this platform is moving. And I'm very excited about that. I have been doing some collaborations recently with new artists. I've been helping people mix and master their stuff and getting a lot of experience in that regard. And I'm really looking forward to these new instruments that are coming out in March, so that I can work with you guys on other pieces. I want to collaborate. Like, I'm not a musician, but I do really dig sound design, and I think I do have a pretty good ear for the mix master stage. And I would love to, lean on that, I guess, and offer a little bit of, assistance in that regard if I can. Textural stuff, sound designing stuff. You want something spicy or a little cool, like ear candy, that's kind of where I like to live. And speaking of that, we have 2 new instruments coming out this year. Torso Electronics is releasing the S4, which is going to be featured right here in my main rig. In fact, it's going to sit right here. This is going off to the side. S4 T1 combo with electronic Stregas. This is a monster setup. I do a lot of cool stuff that I never record and I never publish, and I should. But I'm very excited about that. But there is one that I'm more excited about. And due to the fact that my project is binaural and it's heavily spatial audio based, there is a new instrument coming out from a small company called Augment Audio. And although you've never heard of Augment Audio, if you have used AirPods, you have been listening and exposed yourself to the very person who runs Augment Audio, John Woodruff, I believe. And he actually did a bunch of those algorithms for the Vision Pro, the AirPods. And so if you listen to that, you already know John's work. You just have never heard his name. And he created his own company called Augment Audio with him and another individual, and they are releasing a spatial audio granular machine this coming year. And what's even more exciting is I'm actually a part of that. I have been doing samples, and I will be doing factory patches for the instrument. Theoretically, we'll see. I need to reach out with John one more time and make sure that he was happy with my samples. And that is going to be an incredibly exciting thing. Imagine, so this will have spatial audio, right? You can position your grains in an environment. Now mix that in with some binaural stuff, and we're going to be cooking. So I'm very excited about this. And not only that, it has CVIO. So that's a Strega pair right there. It has the ability to expand its ports, its I/O with a class compliant USB audio interface, which theoretically means I may even be able to just jack my microphone array directly into that thing and just start rocking. But I thought what was incredibly interesting about that is that it appears to have a sequencing system very similar to Fugue Machine for iPad. It uses playheads that you can set different times and tempos and stuff like that. So I don't want to say yes or no on that, but I've only really looked at the demo so far, and I'm still waiting on some more information on the engine itself. But John is using some of my samples, I believe, here shortly to produce some demos for the unit itself. And I did a bunch of Strega work, so I got some really interesting Strega textures. You know me, I like that weird stuff. And I hope he digs them. I hope he likes them. And I'm waiting on a couple of shotgun mics to arrive so I could go out and begin the field recording portion up in the cities and out in nature with binaural and stuff. We're not 100% sure how binaural is going to work in granular. I know I've used it in many tracks and it seems to work okay, but the other aspect is it doesn't really keep its binaural aspect because it's being processed, right? So I'm hoping shotgun mics mounted in phase at whatever distance I need shooting and isolating in from an angle into a single point might give me like a nice wide mono signal if I combine them without too much phasing. I couldn't afford a mid-side mic. Those things are like over $1,000. So we're going to try it with my way, and I need to do a bunch of EMF sampling and stuff over this next couple weeks. I'm going to be up at the studio soon. We'll be doing recording for an album for a local band up in Portland. And I think that's next week. I'm going to check. So anyway, I wanted to give an update. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for putting up with my rambling for 16 minutes almost. Hopefully I get this out, and I should have this in a stereo track finished. Please give it a listen if you don't mind, and tell me what you think. This is as close to an implant concept that I've ever come to. And if I have gotten this right, I would love to know. But it should feel like this music's in your head and it never leaves your ears, and you can still hear everything around you. So if that works, please let me know. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll chat with you later.